Hey everyone, welcome to Handy at the Shandy Las Vegas podcast. I'm with Table James Games and Boring Jack. What you all didn't realize, this is episode 7, part 2, is that we had about a 15 to 20 minute conversation between the episodes that probably should be recorded and put out somewhere. But that's when you get us talking about Vegas, we just can't stop and lose track and get off the show notes. But in part 2 here, we're going to do some quick topics, talk about the Hard Rock, which is coming in 2027. Vegas deals and price gouging, and potentially talk about James's 40th birthday trip and the planning for that. But Jack, I think you have some quick hit topics for us if we want to start off with that.
Yeah, this is one of our most popular segments.
Easily.
So yeah, I'm just going to throw some things out there. Let me know if it's for you, whether it's a positive or a negative, whether you think it's for you or not. And the last one will be a little bit of a segue into the following topic. But let's start with, and I kind of grouped these two things together. Let's start with mobile check-in that you can do on your app on the phone, and then digital key, getting like your room key digitally on your phone. Because these are things that I think both MGM and Caesars have been offering for a few years now. What do you guys think about them?
Mobile check-in, digital key, no if I have a status at the place. Yes if I don't.
Mobile check-in, yes. And I'm going to go a little different if I care about getting some sort of upgrade or status at the place. Sometimes I just want to get my room. So like, absolutely, yes. Digital key, though, I know these are kind of together. I would rather not have a digital key because I feel like it doesn't work more times than it does work. And I've had the situation where I've gone up to my room and the digital key is just not working. And I guess I've also gone up to the room and my physical key isn't working, but very
You're just at the wrong room.
Just at the wrong
like stupid digital keys.
What I love is I love mobile check-in and then printing the digital key at the kiosk. That's what I do at the Wynn almost every time.
Seems like a physical key if you really think about it. But...
Sorry. I print my digital key. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
It's a 3D printer.
People need to know that I'm the idiot of these three. Let's keep it in.
Yeah, for me, mobile check-in, I guess it's maybe a plus. It's not for me. I think it's a plus maybe because it gets other people out of the check-in line. But I don't know. I'm a boomer. I want to talk to someone when I check into a hotel. Like that's kind of the whole point of going to like these kind of lavish places with so many service industry employees that serve you in so many ways, is that you get to get checked in by a human that says, right this way, sir, kind of thing. I don't know. Part of the fun of going to a hotel is getting the hotel experience. And so
you got to schmooze.
Yeah. And so same thing with me with the digital key. I don't trust technology. Next one, buffets. That seems like a pretty Vegas specific thing, maybe more in the past than currently, but still a number of buffets open on the Strip. James has had some great experiences at the Wicked Spoon at Cosmo. So, Adam, why don't you start?
Absolutely not. I never get the value for it. I don't eat that much to do that. And I try not to be gluttonous. So no from me, dog.
I know that we're supposed to be answering this. Is it a plus or minus for Vegas as a whole? And then if it's for us.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Way to call him out. But yeah.
Well, no, I was calling myself out because I did not answer this last time at all. And I didn't even remember that's the way this very popular segment went until you went, Jack. I am going to say they're good for Vegas in general because I think it draws a lot of people there. And I would like to see that more of them come back just for like, even if, I agree with Adam. I think every buffet I've gone to, I would have done better, quote unquote, with my money if I would have went somewhere else. But I think it makes people believe that, oh man, the buffet is the place to go for the deal. They're also not for me unless I get a good deal, like the 2-for-1 Wicked Spoon, and I'll do it again, and I'll
fucking do it again.
I'll do it again. It's a 2-for-1 and a number 2, if you know what I'm saying.
For me, buffets, I'm all for it. I don't really go all that often, but that's mostly just because, it's kind of hard to get in a lot of the times if you don't have status. Like, I'd love to go to the Wynn buffet, but it's probably a shit show and I don't want to wait in the line. So that lines are really the main reason, I guess I'd say I don't go to buffets. But I really like the variety. I like that you often do have like often more lighter or healthier options that you can then immediately undo by getting a plate of like 6 to 8 desserts. But you can find anything you want to eat at a lot of these buffets. They really have started specializing in diversity. And I think that's a really fun aspect of them. Next topic, the top of the stratosphere.
Now, I'll start this one off and saying that I've never been. I don't ever see any time I would go. Not a fan of heights. Not a fan
Hmm.
of being that far off the strip. Is it good for Vegas? Sure. Does it add anything? I guess so. But like that's where my stance is on it.
I would say 10 years ago, yes. Now, no. Both good for Vegas, I think. But they started charging just to get up there, which they
Yeah,
didn't do
what the
before.
fuck?
They used to have great happy hours up there. They still do, but you have to pay to get in there. So, yeah, another no from me at this point. Plus, now I think there's so many places with good views that, I mean, why even go to the Stratosphere anymore just for that?
I'm with Adam 100%, and to some extent with James 100% in that, yeah, it used to be cool. It's not cool anymore. Used to be cheap. It's not cheap anymore. So I'm over it. Next one, slot tournaments. You know, oftentimes you'll get like some mailer, hey, come on this Wednesday in the middle of, August, and we'll be running a $5,000 slot tournament where you can win some free play if you mash a button properly for a couple minutes.
I don't like slot tournaments.
Have you ever participated in one?
Well, I'm gonna say this. The enjoyment that I get out of slots is like hitting a bonus and watching it go through and like oh, kind of waiting, like the anticipation of like, ooh, what's the pig gonna do now? So any slot tournament, you're just slamming the button, nothing's happening. Have I ever participated in one? No. Would I? Yes, if it was a free tournament that I would get in. However, I did do a video poker tournament
Ooh.
when I was in Atlantic City, and that was super fun. It was only 2 minutes, but I ended up placing. I think I told the two of you this, that I ended up placing in this tournament without hitting anything higher than a full house, because I was just able to play so much faster than all of these olds that were playing around me. Like Kim watched me and she was like, you were doing 5 hands, 8 hands in the moment everyone else was doing 1. And the strategy there, I think, is to do that. Because
I was going to ask, so I know that when these slot machines are set into tournament mode, very often each spin costs you nothing. It's just that and then the amount of credits go up by whatever pay you hit. If you don't hit anything, you don't get paid anything. But the credits can only go up on these slot tournament machines. How was it on the video poker ones?
So this one, you started with, I think it was 400 credits, and it was jacks or better. It was full pay jacks or better, and you bet 5 credits each time, and it would go. One of them would go down. There was like 2 numbers. One of them would go down, and the other one, which was just how much you've won, would go up. And then the amount that you won is what you ended up taking with you to whatever the next round or
But it was
whatever.
still timed. It's not like
still
once you
timed.
play through that 400, then
Well, that was the thing.
equal.
They said you play through it or 2 minutes. So I was like, oh, I better get through all this. And I didn't even come close to going through it.
That's not much time.
So I forget exactly what it was. I can go back and look at it. But that was really fun. I would do that again because in my mind, it was just fun. How fast can I play video? And I was looking up strategies online, and they were like, you just want to play as fast as you can and be close enough to decent strategy.
Right.
Like if you were really smart, you would probably hold 2 to the roll. Like you'd hold ace 10 over just ace if they were suited every time because you're trying to get the top prize, but you're really just trying to go fast. That was a much longer, quick topic. So slot tournaments, good for Vegas. For me, if they're giving it to me for free, sure.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I mean, 10 years ago, I'd say absolutely not for me. Now, I would for sure do it. It's just frenetic, goofy, just kind of almost stupid in a way that we're doing this. I've done one, had a blast. I was out in the first round, just button mashing. But it's goofy enough where, like, yeah, it doesn't take that long. It's not like a poker tournament. Like, yeah, I'm in. Let's have some goofy fun for a bit.
I feel like the only ones I've been invited to are like the lowest rung.
Yeah.
So it's like you can come to our worst property on the worst days and you can get a free room and entry into the slot tournament. And it's just, but nothing above that. So I can get the Excalibur in August on a Wednesday and get a slot tournament, but I can't get the Venetian in October on a Saturday and go to their slot tournament. Right.
But how fun is it to be like, I'm staying at the Venetian, but I'm doing this Wednesday slot tournament at Excalibur with a bunch of bozos. Like that's what Vegas is all about.
Yeah. I think if you were a bigger player, it could be a bigger draw because there could be some serious money up top. Last topic. And this is coming up really soon. I figured we'd get this in there because this is a pressing matter. There is a new guitar tower opening sometime in the next, I don't know, 2 years, maybe sometime in 2027 if we're lucky.
Are we going out there as a group?
Oh, yeah.
For the opening, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
lock it
Okay.
in.
Mm-hmm.
But the guitar tower is already kind of taking shape there out in
Mm-hmm.
front of the former Mirage. And this thing is going to be huge. And so
Yeah.
that's the topic, the incoming guitar tower. How do you feel about it?
I'm 100% on board with it. I think most people don't like it because we're doing away with Mirage, which a lot of people had strong feelings about. I did too. I love Mirage. I think it's exactly what Vegas is all about. Have a big, stupid guitar in the middle of the strip. It just adds something to it. I feel bad for the properties, if you're looking from south to north that are kind of hidden behind it, because, you lose that nice marketing value and, you get the drone shots or whatever during football games, whatever, but like the B-roll footage. But yeah, to me, like this is exactly what Vegas needs. Vegas is changing. Have a massive guitar in there. That's great. It's not like like a tuba or something. Like it's a guitar. It's rock and roll. You know what I mean? If you just had like a trumpet, like yeah, this is kind of weird, but no offense to trumpet players. Any wind instruments, I'm sorry if I'm offending you. Yeah, guitar's cool.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think it's going to be pretty cool to have it there, and I think it's good for Vegas. I think change is good when it comes. I'm probably in the minority of people who talk about Vegas, where people get so angry when things are changing, and back in the old day. But if things stayed the same, it would be boring in my mind. I like going and experiencing new things, so I'm all for it.
Yeah, with you guys 100%, and that leads us in to the topic du jour of this second hour, which is Hard Rock coming soon in 2027. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it while it's timely. I don't know. I think it's always fun to look forward to new things coming to Vegas, and we haven't had, we had Fontainebleau, we had Resorts World open somewhat recently, and before that there was a long drought where nothing new was opening in Vegas for like 10 years. And so now that we've kind of learned maybe some lessons from what these North End strip resorts that are new to the scene have offered to us, we can kind of like extrapolate that out to kind of what do we want to see and what are our thoughts about the way that Hard Rock might handle it. But I think maybe start with just kind of, we're going to have a new player, brand new players club that is attached to other properties in the country, and they're going to be plopped down right in the center of the Las Vegas Strip and have to make that work and leverage their kind of existing player base for that. What do we think that looks like?
Well, I think it's good for them. I mean, they're overcoming two major challenges that, well, at least Fontainebleau is suffering from is one, they're in a good location, and two, they already have an established player base, which is like that's like the two biggest drawbacks for Fontainebleau is that. And I think most people would say those are their primary struggles right now, because beyond that, the resort is great. But I think, yeah, being in line, it's not going to be tough to be in line with what other places are offering. They know what they're doing in terms of rewards programs and stuff. And I remember when they first launched, even they were just housed in the Mirage building. They were pretty aggressive at getting players and having good offers. I would hope that I wouldn't say continues, but starts up again as they open.
I almost forgot about that. Like they were running status match and that kind of stuff.
And
Because they were
really
open for such a short period of time there.
and good offers. Like you're getting hundreds in free play or food and beverage credit or whatever with, just matching with like mid-tier statuses. I don't know if they'll be that aggressive when they open because people are going to want to go there no matter what. Like I said, I think they know what they're doing, and I think they're going to be strong in that regard. And just having a new system on the strip, a new program on the strip is going to be nice. Hopefully it puts pressure on the other resorts.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. Being an economist by trade, competition is good. And so I hope competition is here makes it better for the player, right? So you're going to have at least a little bit of hopefully fighting for us, the low rollers, the bozos, which would be good.
Is there anything you personally hope that they're going to offer? Maybe not something that's super realistic, or that if you were in a boardroom meeting, you would stand on the table and say, we actually have to do this. But what are your kind of more hopes and dreams for what this property might offer you?
I would say it's not so much what they offer. It's actually the opposite of not maximizing revenue for every square foot that is in that place. And I hope they learn from some of the better resorts in town where we don't have to, like I said, be generating revenue everywhere. I think of like the reason why Bellagio is good, reason why I have fond memories of the old Bally's, which is like they just had things that were kind of cool in there. They had natural lighting. Mirage had this as well, where it's like just having some cool things. The Hard Rock brand is, I mean, it's cool by nature. That's what they're kind of going for. So having these spaces that are dedicated, like lounge spaces, and not shops everywhere, like you're having places where people can kind of sit down and breathe and take everything in, is something that I think has been missing from a lot of resorts in Las Vegas recently. Like I feel like Wynn established a playbook for what a really good resort can look and feel like. And at times people are just like, yeah, I understand that work, but we're just going to kind of ignore that, even for some of our luxury properties.
If we're going off of something that I know would not be approved in a boardroom that I do miss from Old Vegas, I would love a sports book where it's not a ticket system for comp drinks. Like if you're just sitting there and it looks like you have a bet going, they're just going to bring you your Coors Light.
What is that? Would you hope that the cocktail servers are trying to identify you based on how you look as to whether you have action on the game, or do you think they should just serve indiscriminately?
No, they should just serve it indiscriminately.
Yeah,
I forgot that happened
in the sports book. Yeah,
it did happen.
We used to be how things were.
Yeah, we used to go to Bellagio Sportsbook and make like a $2 horse bet and sit there for like 4 hours and just drink. And it was awesome. So if we're going that of what I personally hope that they offer, that I know they absolutely won't for lots of reasons, that's what I would go with.
Yeah, and mine isn't too pie in the sky. I mean, I've already said before, I'm a single issue voter. Give me a cocktail bar, give me some Ultimate X on the bar top, and let them comp fancy drinks. I guess I would like to see more proliferation of the like drink monitoring system that Resorts World has, where it can actually discern whether you're like gambling a lot or a little, and get some maybe higher end drinks if you're willing to really mash away at the machine at a slightly higher level. But I would say I really hope, and this goes in line with what Adam was saying, is that they do live music on the floor or floor adjacent, right? They're going to be known for being a music brand. They've got to have live music on property as a selling point.
Yeah, it's a huge missed opportunity if they don't. Like it, and this probably leads into the next question that you have here, the next kind of topic, but like that is one of the things I miss about early 2000s, 90s times in Vegas. It was like every Vegas resort had a lounge where you could just sit, it's overlooking the casino floor. Some had live music, some didn't. Like Bally's did. They had that Indigo Lounge or whatever. But like even Bill's Gambling Hall had a lounge off the casino floor where you could just sit, see the floor, relax for a bit, and then get right back out there. Like we're getting away from that. And it's weird to me. Like, was it Alibi at Aria? That's their center one.
This has almost been a topic on the 2 now times we've done my quickfire topic session, is these kind of secluded casino floor adjacent, like ultra lounge party club atmosphere.
It annoys the shit out of me what they've done with Alibi, because that was my favorite bar in Vegas for a long time. It's the center of Aria. It's in a great spot, but they have these just black curtains up during the day, so it's not even really open. Then at night they turn it to this ultra lounge. But I'm like, during the day, I would sit there for sure and have a cocktail without. I don't have to be playing. You don't have to put tables or you don't have to put machines in there, and just chill out. And if you want to turn it into that ultra lounge, whatever, do that. That's fine. But like, what a missed opportunity. And so many places had these, and I hope that just there's somewhere at Hard Rock that has just cool live music. Doesn't have to be crazy rock and roll or anything, but like something calm that's just off the floor. You're still generating revenue, so it's not a lost opportunity there. But again, you're giving people just a place to breathe, take a break, still take in a cool vibe, and then go right back out there.
So yeah, you mentioned that this leads into kind of my next question. I might as well put that out there, which is, what advice would we give them that we think is wise for their business? Like, what do we think they could do that would work for them as well as for the customer?
I just want them to have really good customer service. We talked about this in hour 1. Like, I just want them. I really miss and would love if a space, and I don't know if it's going to be Hard Rock, like the 24 hours that like I know I can go to this restaurant slash diner slash whatever at any time of the day and get the full menu. Like I
Mm.
I want that. And I think it'd be good for business to like these places to start having that spot that you can go at all hours and it's the same menu and it's like I even get mad at the Henry when it's closed for those like 4 hours. I'm like, really? Like you got 4 hours. You could just be open for these 4 hours.
One thing I was going to recommend that I think would be good for them keeping a younger crowd is to really stratify the room product between the old Mirage Tower and the new Guitar Tower. I think if they want to get a lot more of like the younger 20 somethings in there, which is kind of what the Hard Rock brand is known for, especially with their pools and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they want to do that, they're going to have to keep selling those Mirage Tower rooms on the cheap and maybe even kind of link it up a bit, do a bunk bed room or like, try to make those rooms appeal to people that want to be at the Hard Rock, but don't want to pay whatever the kind of luxury prices associated with this guitar hotel are, because no new casino is opening without trying to corner some sort of luxury market. No one's going to spend all this money on a new casino and say, hey, we're a budget property. But I think they can kind of maintain some of that by trying to keep, different types of rooms in their inventory.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because they are a bit handcuffed with those Mirage rooms. They're old. And one of the biggest gripes, if we're doing a griping session from part A and part B, is the bathrooms are tiny because it just wasn't something Wynn was too concerned with. And most resort builders were concerned with back then. So I almost think they have to do that, which is a good opportunity. But I think the room products that they're building in the Guitar Tower, I'm hoping that they have some sort. I don't care about a rock and roll flair because that's not actually something they're too concerned with at their properties. It's not like Planet Hollywood, which I think does rock and roll more than the Hard Rock rooms do. Like I wanted to have some sort of Vegas flair. It doesn't have to be like punchy in the face like Circa does. I think Circa's a little bit over the top with it and a little kitschy, but like their Fort Lauderdale, I think it's Fort Lauderdale, right? The actual Guitar Tower in Florida. It's very kind of Florida themed, which I think is probably appropriate. So I hope that they have some sort of kind of Vegas flair in there and they don't kind of lose that opportunity. I don't know what that is. I'm not a designer, but I think there's kind of an opportunity there because I think one issue I have with some of the hotels in Vegas now is like it's there's no there. Like they're just it's just kind of bland and you're missing an opportunity to Vegasify something.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you, Park, where I'm going to stay at in a few months, right? But like this is like party kind of atmosphere. Like let's punch it up a notch, but still have the trappings of a luxury resort, which I think is what they're going to be going for, at least in the Guitar.
Kim and I stayed at Park and the room was nothing. So
No, it's nothing. Yeah.
Going from Fontainebleau to that is going to be interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
So last question about what do you want to see at Hard Rock? The last one, and this is kind of apropos of a new thing that actually is coming soon this year or early next year, which is that there's this new Indian restaurant opening at Aria in, I think, the former Julian Serrano Tapas space. And it's like this London Michelin-starred Indian concept that's going to be going in there. And I'm pretty excited about it. I think Indian cuisine is very underserved on the Vegas Strip. I don't even know where you'd go to an Indian restaurant. And that made me want to ask you guys, like, what sort of restaurant would you want to see that you think is underrepresented and, good fit for Hard Rock or otherwise?
Well, you probably know this about me by now because I've said it a few times. I'm not a foodie at all. This question is completely lost on me because, man, I'm just going to say, like legitimately, I'd say, a good steakhouse. So there's like 4,000 of them, right? It's trying to answer the question of like, what would you think was underrepresented? If I didn't know that the new Indian restaurant, that's probably what I would have went with. So I'm gonna have to pass with mine.
Yeah, I was gonna say Sparrow, only because there's only 20 of them, and I think we could kick it up a notch. But I'm gonna go back on my little lounge rant from before because I think one of my it's a cop out. It's not really a true restaurant, but like I think Petrosian at Bellagio is one of my favorite places in Vegas. And again, it's not a true restaurant, but they have, you'll get some snacks, you get a cocktail. It's got a lounge feel. It's got, the piano there. And it's just such a wonderful place. It's great if you check in a little bit too early, you need a place to hang out for a little bit. It's cool, like just midday, you need a break. It's, you get all the great people watching there. It's like all I want in more of these places is something like that. Like, give me a cocktail, some warm nuts, some off-brand Gardettos, whatever the things that they're kind of serving in there, with some light live music that I can just chill at for a little bit, and I'm not like constantly searching because, like, like you'll have lunch, you have dinner, you have all those plans, but sometimes you just need a break to just sit down, but you still want to be in the atmosphere, or you still want to be looking at something that's kind of compelling without going back to your room. And like I said, back to Bally's, like I miss what Bally's was so much because in part of like their Indigo Lounge, or like Cleopatra, as I said before about Caesars, like we're just missing that. And to me, that was the Vegas vibe for so long. You go to any hotel, Chicago, New York, whatever, they don't have the opportunity to have those types of lounges for the most part. It's either, excuse me, like the full service restaurant, their cocktail bar, whatever. But they've got the space for this. And it pains me to see like we're just making room for retail, or we're gonna just bury a bunch of slots in this section when really they could capitalize by having something that really makes it feel more upscale than it is without having much of an effort. But that's my gripe and rant.
Now, Jack, I feel like you put this on here because you have something you want to add.
I'm going to have like the least foodie response to this ever, because I think most Vegas properties do a good job of having a good mix of food, right? It is hard to come up with a type of restaurant that is hard to find on the Vegas Strip. But I think one type that I would like to see more of is like the sort of Chipotle style fast casual concepts where they build your meal in front of you and you get to pick like which things do or don't go on it. So like whether it's like a salad bar type thing that does that same sort of made to order in front of you style, or with sandwiches or with burritos, but you can expand that to other things. Like I know there's chains of Mediterranean concepts that do that kind of stuff. I don't think you have to bring in one of those chains necessarily, but I would like to see something like Cosmos Food Hall or Aria's Food Hall, but with more just made to order options where you kind of get to go down an assembly line and get food that way. Because I feel like you see none of that in Vegas, and it's kind of a good lunch option for me a lot of the time.
You need more Subways or Quiznos.
So many.
But I'm with you though. Like the fact that this is the first Indian restaurant I know of. I'm not an Indian food fan. We're having so many people come from England to Las Vegas. I am shocked that this is like center strip mainstay Indian restaurant. Like I'm shocked it took this long.
I'm pretty stoked.
All right, so Hard Rock coming soon. Good to see an Indian restaurant's coming soon. Let's talk about what's here right now, and that is a little bit of a changing of the winds here in Las Vegas, where it seems like some operators are realizing like, hey, we're leaving some of the more price conscious visitors out to dry a bit. And so we're seeing some of these deals kind of pop up. We've got 3 here. The first one is the Plaza all-inclusive deal. And a lot of times I think it's interesting when these resorts put in all-inclusive deals, because sometimes it either seems limiting or it's not truly
it's
like
somewhat
all-inclusive. Yeah, it's slightly inclusive.
And these are just, what I have here in the doc are just some examples. But like one thing that I think they said this on 500 by midnight, but one thing that I thought was really interesting is they said, we don't want your deals. We just want things to be of value. We don't want to have to like book some sort of like weird, cheesy deal.
Right.
But I do think it's interesting that there's this concerted effort going on. You know, Caesars had a particular deal where you could stay for 2 nights and get a hefty food and beverage credit, all for just like $300 across a number of properties. And that was like including all the taxes and fees and stuff. And so I think that kind of thing, is always going to stay popular if something can truly be flat rate.
Yes. Yeah, and if the deal's easy to see what the all-in price would be, mainly because like especially for new visitors, if you've got comps regularly coming your way, you're probably not going to take advantage of any of these deals.
Right.
But I think for people who are not coming frequently, that Caesar's deal is right on. A Plaza all-inclusive deal, it's like, I don't want to be in Plaza all the time. I don't want to eat there all the time. So that's kind of
You'd prefer
lost
it to
on
be
me.
less inclusive.
Right. It just be like, you can stay here for cheap and that's it, and then go eat somewhere else. But what was the Resorts World, the dining credits one? I've seen this not just at Resorts World too, but a couple of them are popping up with more food and beverage credit.
Just
offers.
basically with any stay at their normal rate, you're getting F&B credit as part of the deal, basically. They made it sound like the F&B credit is valid at different restaurants depending on which tower of their hotel you're booking, but I'm not sure that's actually true. I think that
That'd
might
be
have just
weird.
been a kind of a marketing ploy to make it look like you get nicer restaurants if you stay at the nicer property. But
Now, one thing you didn't put in here is the Golden Gate all you can drink. Start your night here. You didn't put this
Oh,
on
yeah.
your list.
No, and I think of that. So Golden Gate, in tandem with their announcement that they're removing all their table games, also announced that they're doing like an open bar just from like 5 to 6, just actual open bar. And it's
Yeah.
already happened by the time we're recording this, and thus also already happened by the time you're hearing it. We don't know how it went. We weren't paying attention to that. But interesting deal to just say, hey, we're literally just giving away free booze the way that James wants it in the sports book. We're doing
Exactly.
that here.
It's a good spin zone of like, hey, we're taking away something from this really classic casino that's going to upset a lot of people. And then we're going to do this at the same time so that the noise dies down a little bit. That was my conspiracy theory behind it. But
Well, right. And that's why I think it's not necessarily along the same line as some of these other deals that are going out there. But yeah, no, I think in general, we'd prefer to see less particular book with us and get this sort of deal and just more of things being cheaper. Because a lot of complaining has been happening lately about just Vegas prices being too high. Just they're saying everything is being gouged. And if you're not getting gouged, you're getting nickeled and dimed. But it kind of begs the question of like, what prices are there that are too high? Like, people used to say that like, oh yeah, the flights to Vegas are really cheap because they're like kind of subsidized, or like it's an airport that you can get to for a lot cheaper. I think that's still true. I think flights to Vegas are cheaper than when I try to go out east or stuff like that. So then the question is like, what is it about prices in Vegas that's too high? And a guy, travel fanatic on the Vegas message board, he kind of asked like, he thinks it's just the F&B. Like almost as show tickets, hotel rooms. He thinks most prices are kind of in line with what you're seeing in all the other cities across America, other than that F&B can be kind of crazy these days. Do you agree with that?
I agree that there's the F&B at the low and even medium end are just, in my mind, so high and outrageous. Like the number of times I've had a burger at a place have been like $30. What? Like I just had a burger. Like I may as well go and get whatever dinner for 60 or 70, like pay twice as much and get something that's 5 times more. When it comes to bevies, I'm spending a lot to get them due to my video poker play, but I'm getting them comped, so I'm not seeing what that price is, except for when someone comes up next to me and orders something and I go, what? Like,
and
you know,
yeah, the only thing
so,
that's more shocking than the prices that these people are paying retail at the bar next to you, the only thing more shocking than that is that they're probably still getting a better deal than you are playing the video poker.
Right, exactly. My favorite is when someone comes up to me and points at my drink and says, how much is that? And I say $500.
I mean, aren't I would say that like those types of prices, are they not reflective of similar things that you get in other tourist destinations? Even like I'm here in Chicago, New York, Boston, wherever. If you go to a decent cocktail bar, at least in Chicago, you're going to be paying at least $16, $17, $18 for a decent cocktail.
But how much is like a Jack and Diet at like a reasonable bar, right? That's kind of the thing that people, I think, are finding in Vegas. Like James was saying, that's the low and the medium kind of end of things that's just cost too much. Yeah, the nicest cocktails you can get, like let's say 80th percentile cocktail for Vegas, it's going to cost the same as the 80th percentile cocktail somewhere else. But like the 20th percentile drink, probably, you know, a Michelob Ultra, let's say, in Vegas, it's going to be way more than anywhere else. And it's going to be insultingly more. And I think that's what people are seeing, right?
Is it though? I mean,
Well, I
if you
don't
go to
know.
the right place, like, can't you find? I mean, I know you can. Like, you can find beers for $5 and under in Las Vegas. I just not to Adam's plugging himself. I did a newsletter about it like not that long ago, of like all the places you can find beer for like under $5, and there's shockingly a decent amount of places. Even like in the Link Promenade, there's several places you can get. I'm not even talking Michelob Ultras, which I think are the tip of the spear in terms of what you can get. But
But I think it's just the casual person going and doesn't know this, right?
sure,
They didn't plan, 3 years in advance to go to Disney so they could get their fast passes or whatnot,
yeah,
or get some reservation on a pirate ship. So the people who are just showing up, right, and they're walking up to the Chandelier bar because they're like, I heard the Cosmos cool, and they
hmm
go up and they're like, oh sure, I guess I'll just have a mimosa, and they're like, it's $42 or whatever it is. I don't know if
that's
it's
fair.
$42, but I'm guessing it's about that. So I think that's where, and that's when people take the pictures of the receipts, and then it goes on whatever, some Fox News LA, and everyone's like, Vegas is so expensive. Meanwhile, you are correct that there's definite places that you can go have a great time for very cheap, because I do think there are still lots of things in Vegas that is still a value, which I'm going to lead with the nice hotel
The
rooms.
rooms.
The rooms for sure. Like, you're not getting, like, even if I paid the rack rate for like a room at Wynn, I am not getting that. Like, a $800 room in Manhattan is not going to look like a Wynn room, right?
We take for granted just how big Vegas hotel
Right.
rooms are, for
Yeah.
sure. And generally just how nicely they're appointed and generally well kept up.
Even the
Even the
Park
ones that
MGM.
we complain about. Yeah. No,
Well,
so I think the rooms are a definite value in Vegas. Because I asked, is there anything that's still a value? And obviously, Adam's newsletter lets you know where the value beers are. But what
it
across the
impacted me
board?
so much I can't remember where any of the places were. But I mean, the rooms are like, and it's even hard to argue. Like, if you any available data you have, there was like it's like cheaphotels.org or something like this. I was reading it recently where they were looking at like 100 cities, minimum 3-star hotel. What's the cheapest like double occupancy room you can get? And like Vegas was like number 82 or 83 or 84, something like that. Like, there were 80 major destinations that were more expensive than Las Vegas. And of course, you're getting like the LA, the New York, and even like Detroit, Austin, like you name it, we're ahead of it. And so like that falls on deaf ears for me if you complain about room costs, because they're still much, much cheaper than almost every major tourist destination.
And I think getting around in Vegas, especially with all the competition between Uber and Lyft, and pretty soon the driverless cars out there. I mean, I think getting around is really cheap. And of course, there's walking, but I don't know who would do that.
No, I'm always impressed by if I have to like call an Uber from downtown to somewhere on the strip that like,
$20.
yeah, it's like $20-$30 for like quite a long trip by the city standards a lot of the time. So,
But it is, and like, I don't mean to diminish what people are going through, because it is clear, and we just talked about it. Like, operators have noticed something. They've certainly noticed complaints, but they probably noticed revenue in certain areas have gone down as well, because people are feeling left out, and they're feeling a pinch, not just personally, but like that the city has done something in terms of like raising prices or just not offering a fair shake that's impacting them. Yeah, I mean, I say like, oh, there's places to find these cheap things, but at the same time, like, it used to not be that. You wouldn't have to look that hard to find
Right.
a relatively inexpensive drink. So I have this, push and pull of like, yeah, you go into Bellagio, you shouldn't expect anything to be cheap. But at the same time, it wasn't very difficult before to walk around and find something that was a good value. Things have certainly changed in that regard.
I will say, though, table limits definitely have gone up to a point where I can see a lot of people being like, come on, I'm trying to enjoy some gaming. If you're pulling it down to 6 to 5 and everything's $25 or more, like, is the casual gambler really going to enjoy going to Vegas if they have to have such a bigger bankroll for gambling? And I mean, I guess maybe that's just, again, part of their profit thing of, fine, if you don't want to play this, I'm going to push you to this slot where I know you're going to lose that money there instead. Like, or to stadium gaming and everything like that. So I do think that's where you see the prices when you first walk on the floor, right? $25, $50, $100 blackjack or whatever. I think that leads a lot into the narrative as well.
And that one, I don't know if there's anything they can do about it, because if of all the places where I'm sympathetic to the increased costs that the casinos are incurring and the increased opportunity costs of doing something else with that space on their casino floor, I don't understand how you could run like a $10 craps game at a strip casino anymore. And you still do find it. We saw 10 at Resorts World when I was last there. We saw 10 obviously at places like Excalibur, but like, where are they going to get the margins on that? Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, labor's expensive. And like table games have been like, the minimum's been $5 like the entire time I'd been going to Las Vegas as an adult. And like, I knew like at some point it's going to get more expensive. It just has to, right? So like after 20 years now, 19 years of going, like, yeah, they're finally up to 10 and 15 at the places that I first started playing at. So that does make sense.
And that's why I find that just max bet quarter single line video poker for like $1.25 a spin, even if you're playing at Caesars and the return to player is 94, 95%, whatever you want to call it. That's still one of the best deals in town, because it's remarkable that almost every bar in the city still offers quarter video poker and will still comp you for it.
It feels like a steal at times in certain places.
Again, still might be better to pay the $22 for, the drink.
Without a doubt.
But it doesn't feel that way.
Think of all the fun you're having playing.
Oh, I think about it.
All the time. I can't wait to get out there. I'm shaking. I want to get out there so bad.
Well, speaking of, we're going to close hour 2 of this episode by talking about James doing some preliminary planning ideas for his 40th birthday, which is coming up in the late winter, early spring of 2026.
Yeah,
it's a long birthday.
It's a long. So I've had this plan for a couple of years, and I think we are going to go with it. But I want to talk to the two of you and maybe some of the listeners to throw some other ideas out there. The current plan is to get in on a Wednesday night, late Wednesday night. I think it's March 11th, and then stay until the 23rd of March. So 2 back-to-back weekends.
Jesus.
And there's a week in between. On personally staying for 12 days?
Yes.
Okay.
And shit. the week in between, where Kim and I were going to go off strip and get like an Airbnb and maybe like do some work. And I have some friends at UNLV that I want to go do some stuff, maybe do a talk, whatever it is. But have 2 back-to-back weekends, one for non-gamblers, so we can go and do more touristy things, do maybe more drinking, cigars, etc. Clubs. I don't know if I want to do a club, but like if other people would want to, I would. And then a weekend for gamblers. And the last like whatever years I've gone out for that first weekend of March Madness, which is always right around my birthday. And again, it's going to be March 18th, right on my birthday, actually. So that would be for gamblers, where I invite all my friends who love to sit at video poker bars and pound the buttons, who love to roll up to a $25 craps table after having a few cocktails and stay there till 2 a.m. The people who want to take over a blackjack table, you know what I'm talking about. That would be one weekend. And I know a couple of my friends who would want to go for both. So my question is this a good idea? What are your initial thoughts on this? Will I survive?
My initial thought is, why couldn't it all just be the same weekend, right? Like, it's possible to have people that do and don't want to gamble in town at the same time.
That's a good question.
And those people like maybe also might get along, right? Like, it's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So my answer to that is, one, I want to go 2 weekends in a row.
Okay. Well,
no. Another answer,
the defense press.
But also, I don't know, I feel like when I personally, maybe this is more for me, I would get a little anxious if I knew that I had friends out there that weren't gamblers and I'm sitting at a video poker bar or a craps table or whatever for 15 hours a day and they're just kind of not doing anything. There are certain non-gamblers that I think would be okay with that. Like when my buddy Colin came out, does like he didn't gamble that much. He's perfectly fine with watching. I just don't know if everyone would be that way. And then I know the the thing you're going to come back at me with is, well, then those people probably just want to go to Vegas either way. Maybe it's true.
I thought Jack was going to say something.
Adam, is this a good idea or is this a bad idea?
I think it could work both ways, right? Like I just had a trip like that where I had many people out and half were gamblers, half were not. I certainly didn't do as much gambling as I would have liked, but that also at the same time is probably a good thing as well. I think you're going to be you're going to be gambling during that first half, right? No matter what. So like the big risk there is like what happens if things go south and now you've got, you're a 12-day trip and you're on day 4 and like now your bankroll is depleted and your gambler friends are coming out ready to go. What's going to happen then? Not that, you're good with money and you can manage that well, but
well,
I love that you picked like the most like bad influence crowd you could find, and yet we're still not even buying in on it. Like the most degenerate Vegas enthusiasts that you could find, and we're still like, are you sure, buddy?
I just think 12 days is so that is.
I wouldn't enjoy it in the slightest being out there that long.
But it's legitimately is going to be like
by the time us gamblers show up for weekend 2, you're just going to be a miserable sack of shit.
I know. I'm going to be amazing, and I think, and maybe this is good for me too. It'll be that first weekend. I'll have to be disciplined. I'll have to not gamble that much or at all. I'll just go and like do some cool things with other people, do a little bit of quarter video poker and do some downtown gaming and not get crushed. And then on Sunday, everyone will leave and Kim and I will leave the Strip, we'll leave Vegas and not gamble during that week. That's what I'm trying to convince myself will happen. And then everyone will start coming on Thursday and we'll have a second. We'll have a second one. So you're right. So maybe it's not a good idea. That's the current plan. We haven't booked anything yet. Another plan I was thinking, you're kind of seem to be in the boat right now, is just one big 40th bash where I just tell everyone I'm going out to Vegas for these 4 nights over the first weekend of March Madness. I think you should come and join me. Here are the places that I'm going to be staying. Let's go have a good time. Right, that's probably the easiest.
Set up a few big dinners, maybe.
Right, set up a few
probably
big
not
dinners.
A big pool thing that early in March, but yeah,
right.
It could be a pool thing.
There could be, yeah, for sure. We get a cabana every year at Rampart for that. So that could be cool. Maybe even do something like, if you're not really into the gambling type things, come more on the weekend because like there's not as many basketball games, so we can do other things. And like if you're really into it, come early. Who knows? Like I could do something like that. The third idea is finding my friends, because I have a lot of friends. I'm just going to pat myself on the back and say I've got a lot of friends.
Jeez, what's that like?
And that's really just because I've had so many I've lived many different lives, being grad school, living in a bunch of different cities. I'm really good at keeping contact with friends. Maybe plan 6-7 Vegas trips, which is what I've kind of been doing lately anyway, and try to say, hey, Jack and Adam, how about the 3 of us, Kim or whatever, a couple people, we do like a smaller weekend trip with small pockets of
tell
friends.
Each group of friends that this is the 40th birthday trip.
Yes, then we all show up at the same time.
Well,
no, but I do a bunch of
Is this going to be the Parent Trap? No, 30 people. I kind of don't hate that idea, especially if there's like people you're targeting, maybe not me or Adam, people you're targeting that generally wouldn't join you in Vegas but know that you like it, and you're like, hey, want to come out for my 40th? I'm doing this thing with these other people that I'm also trying to get that and it's not going to be a whole big shit show. At least this one won't be. I don't know. I feel like option 2, to just try to get everyone there and do a big blowout over like 4 days, would be the only one I would consider of the 3 options if it were me.
Right.
You are free to consider whatever.
Well, of course, I can make my own choices, but I brought it up for this feedback because I also, in 20 years, it'd be really fun to be like, for my 40th, I went out there for 2 weekends. There's the story.
But here's the thing, though. Like the fun thing, especially if you have a bunch of group of friends, actually is getting them all together and seeing what the weird pairings end up being. Because inevitably, like people will mingle and like form connections and be like, can you believe that Adam and whoever this person actually hung out for like 3 hours and did X, Y, or Z. Like, I
Yeah.
actually love that kind of stuff where it's like
Mhm.
all my different group of friends, they come together. It's like, holy crap, like Tony and Eric were together and like they didn't even know each other, but they're not gamblers. They hung out and they went on the stupid roller coaster or whatever. Right. That is me putting my hat in the ring for that, just one big blowout.
All
Let
right.
people come out, establish expectations. I'm planning to gamble a decent amount, but I'd love to still see you there if you want to hang out and do whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
All right. This is good to know. I would like for others, all the people
Sound
who have
off
been
in the comments.
sound off in the comments. Tweet at me, James_Tierney, what you think it should be. And then the last question I have is, would Jack and Adam show up for my 40th birthday party?
God, for March Madness, it's going to be such a shit show. You're already making me come
I
out
know.
for Formula One, which I have like negative interest in. And now it's going to be another like high traffic weekend that I'm going to get roped into going to Vegas for
Well,
an
neither of you
activity
showed up
that I'm
for
not interested
mine.
in. I did.
The one-
I did try to though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say I'll try, and then
Okay,
not.
good.
Okay.
Good.
Mhm.
Good.
I
Well,
would
we'll see what happens.
No, I
definitely
would-
consider it.
I would probably go, but
All right,
it
cool.
doesn't take a lot of arm twisting to get me to Vegas, it turns out.
I'll bring my kids.
in the
Big
stroller.
non-gamblers. Yeah.
In the stroller.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep this on the back burner. I'm sure we'll talk more about it as it gets closer, but I don't know what I'm leaning now. I'm gonna have to go back to Kim and ask her. So
yeah, before we get out of here, I guess we can talk a bit about upcoming Vegas trips. And I bring this up somewhat selfishly because the next time we record this, I will be mere days away from a Vegas trip. And this one is for the 360 Mark Witowitz's Celebration of Life that they're doing in Vegas the weekend of October 18th. And so I'm going to be out there for that. It'll be nice to pay my respects to the deceased, obviously, be there for people like Tony and Karen and see that crew and, be there to support them. I think that'll be important. But honestly, it was kind of a big FOMO thing, right? Like,
yeah.
part of the main reason that you want to go out there is that Mark in life was so good at bringing everyone to Vegas for a big party.
Mhm.
Of course, in death, he's one last time bringing everyone out to Vegas for some big party, and I'd feel lame not being there. And so, is it bad that that's my primary motivation instead of, some of these other more wholesome things about, supporting whomever? But I don't know. I'm going to be
No.
out there for it, and it's going to be a fun time despite the unpleasant circumstances surrounding it.
No, that's what he'd want. I've
Yeah.
seen so many people who are going out there for that, which is encouraging. I wish I could be, but yeah, I definitely have that FOMO too, because there's a lot of good people. And not just like he had a knack for bringing people out. Like he got a lot of good people out there. Like there was always a good time,
Mhm.
always good groupings of people to hang out with. I've made friends through the 360 Vegas vacations. So yeah, I'm definitely jealous that you have the opportunity to go out there.
I looked into flights and they were so expensive from here in State College, mainly because, which is so dumb, living in 2 days after the whiteout, one of the best games I've been to ever, but also awful, heartbreaking, et cetera, is during football season. If you're trying to leave State College around the same time there's an away game, and a bunch of people are, no matter where you're going, because there's not that many flights are ridiculous. If I wanted to get into State College that weekend, because it's an away game, super cheap, but trying to leave, even just to go to Vegas anywhere, all the connections and everything are just, it was like $1,200 minimum. And that's like a couple pulls at a Huff and Puff. So
we'll talk a bit more about that trip on the next show, because
Yeah.
we'll record that right before I leave. But then
Cool.
The next trip coming up, obviously, is the three of us are all going to Vegas the weekend for the Formula One race. That's November 21st through the 25th. And I think that'll be a good time. It sounds like Adam's plans have changed based off his Disney experience of all things. But we'll share a bit more about the plans for that and maybe do some live planning as we get closer to that.
I think we'll be some of the biggest celebrities in town for that.
Oh, for sure.
event. I'd be shocked if we weren't asked to wave the checkered flag at the end. The three of us all holding one wood pole together.
Well, I'll be asleep in bed, but
At 10 o'clock?
it doesn't end at 10. It
That's
starts at
10:30.
10.
I think it starts at 8.
No.
We'll cut this out.
starts at 10 because it started at midnight back home here.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. That's why when you said stumbling back at 2 a.m. from park, I'm like, after party's gonna go to like 5. Like that's like what's gonna happen.
That's when I'm stumbling back.
All right.
We'll double check the times. Well, that's gonna do it for episode 7B, 7 part 2, whatever it is.
Sure.
Thank you so much for listening. For Table James Games, I'm Adam. For Boring Jack, I'm also Adam. Make sure to hit us up on social media. Email us at...
Sure.
No, what's the email?
Handy at the Shandy.
Handy at the Shandy
at gmail.com. Dear Lord.
Thank you so much for listening.
Bye-bye.
See ya.